Alright, today I want to talk about 10 habits you should have in duos to win more games. I'm currently playing a lot with random teammates, so these habits are both valuable for solo queue and for playing with a friend. Alright, first one, take a second to think before doing anything. There's no award for finishing your turn in 5 seconds. So at the start of your turn, especially in the early game, just spend some time looking at both players' shops and try to figure out what each one should be doing. Like maybe at first glance you think, oh well, I have Risen Rider in my shop on turn 1, I want to buy that. But maybe it's a better tempo that your teammate buys a passenger and that you pass them a 2-cost spell instead. The obvious play for you is not always the correct play for both of you. Alright, second one, don't end your turn prematurely. And the turn is over when the timer hits 0. So if you're floating some gold at the end of your turn, save it for now. Don't immediately buy a spell that costs 2 just because you have gold, or roll twice, that's even worse. Maybe that gold can be of use. Like maybe your teammate wants to bounce a card like Reverber Drake or Footy, and they want you to help them pass back the card. And if you don't have any gold, it's really awkward for them. But if you're using the gold that you have left over, well, that's pretty good. Or maybe they just found catch and you can use the leftover gold to generate a bunch of tempo from passing it twice. Maybe they want you to pass a minion from your hand so that they have an extra gold to complete their turn. Maybe they're passing you a better ending unit, and putting down your own minions preemptively would be a waste of gold. So just in general, especially in the mid game and late game, be comfortable floating some gold and leaving an empty board slot. Only put down your final minion for the fight and spend that extra gold when you know both players cannot do anything. Alright, the next one is a bit of a short one. It's more important in duos than in solos, but it's important for both game mode. It's focus on what matters. In duos, there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff that you can do. It's very hard to use your gold as efficiently as you could, especially in the mid game and late game. So just don't stress too much about that. Just do the powerful stuff, and then it doesn't matter if you didn't spend all of your gold. Like, doing what matters is a lot more important than using all of your gold. Alright, next one. Pay attention to what your teammate is doing. So if they're leveling aggressively, maybe you want to be more conservative in your plays. If they seem to be leaning towards a tribe, just be on the lookout for important cards of that tribe. If they want to go for a specific strategy, try to understand what is the strategy and try to help them in that way. Alright, the next one is super important, and it's a tough habit to break. So basically the habit I want you to have is to not get attached to cards. It's a tough habit to break because in solos, like, the cards are yours, but in duos, you're working as a team. Let's say you're Dino Timer Bran and your teammate is Reno or Shutterwalk. Just pass your teammate the Bran. It's not because it's your hero that it means that you're the one who should be playing Bran. So same thing for discoveries, like it's not because you're the one who discovers a 6-drop that it means that it should enter your board. Just focus on what makes sense. Speaking of triples, unless the golden minion would actively be doing something for your comp, you should probably pass the golden minion when you triple a minion, you just pass it to your teammate if they're on a higher tier. And that would allow them to discover a higher tier minion. If you have Bran or Jakari on the board and you find a second one, don't be selfish and hold it in hand in hopes of a triple. Just let your teammate play it if their build also needs it, and when you find the third copy, one of the player can just pass it off their board with Portal in a Crystal or Well-Wisher. Otherwise it's just a dead card in your hand, and you might never find the triple before the game is over. Alright, next one. Communicate. Before passing a triple, you can ask your teammate if they want to level and grab a higher tier minion with it, or if they want it this turn. If you see a good minion in the shop and you're not sure if your teammate wants to play that card in their comp, just ask them, put a question mark on it. Also, some interactions are not obvious to everyone, so you can ping your own cards to tell your teammate what you're trying to do. Like, hey, I want to replay Reverber Drake on my Hunter of Gatherers so that my Lock Princess get bigger at the end of my turn. Or hey, I want to pass you Temperature Shift with Storm Split on the board to have some good scaling. Sometimes there are cards that are not core to a comp strategy, so you can ask your teammate if they want it, especially if you tripled into it. On the flip side, if a card is super important to their strategy, just pass it right away. Like, communication is important, and at the same time, some stuff is a bit obvious. Don't ping everything and drive your teammate crazy with information overload when they're just trying to play their turn. Just make some decisions too. Alright, then next one is the same one, but just on the other side. Listen. Like, listening is an important part of communication. Like, ask your teammate questions, yes, but also answer their questions. Just in general, listen to what they're saying with their emotes. Not saying to do everything they ask of you, like don't freeze for them a crappy triple that you can't even pass efficiently next turn, and don't pass bad cards. I just want you to understand what they're doing, to understand what they want, and to judge for yourself if it makes sense to help them out. There are also times where teammates know better than you. Like, I know it's unthinkable since you're the best in the world, but still people can surprise you. Just try to keep an open mind. Like, just recently I had a brain fart. I was playing Goya and I was using my hero power on the shop every turn, forgetting I could use it on my own minions. And then my random teammate pinged my Fearless Foodie and my hero power and made me realize I could just bounce it to buff my gems. Alright, the next one is a bit of a small one, but read the cards. Like, just an example, I've had a teammate ask me to pass them the 2/6 Murloc that buffs both boards. And that Murloc, the effect is the same if you play it on any player's board, so I would have just lost the gold passing it, but my teammate thought that the effect would buff based on the number of keywords on the board of the person playing it, so it made sense in their head to pass it. But yeah, just read so that you don't make these small mistakes. Like, it was better on my board because my teammate's board was already full, and then later on it even made more sense on my board because my comp used Drakari and the 2/6 is an end of turn effect. Alright, the next two and the last two habits are a bit more advanced, I feel like. You don't have to pass stuff right away. There's stuff that people need right now, and there's stuff you can pass them next turn. Just don't mess up your curve just because someone wants a card. Like, if they want that card, it doesn't mean they want it right now. And then in the same vein, it's better to hold the card than to potentially commit it to the wrong board. Like, if you tripled into Bran with no gold left, keep it in your hand until you know which player could use it best next turn. Like, maybe it would still end up on your board next turn, but the 2/4 won't change the outcome of the fight. It's better to have more information before making that decision because it's a pretty impactful decision. That's it for this video. I hope these 10 habits are helpful to you. Please let me know in the comments if you feel like I missed anything, and feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.